Hello, and welcome to Keeper's Corner Podcast, where we're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. With your hosts, as always, Matthew Sterling, Michelle Brooks, and Brandon Brooks. Let's go.
Hello again. Welcome to another edition of the Keeper's Corner Podcast. Matt and Brandon here this week. We got two games to talk about. We got some crazy playoff things going on to talk about because, one day we're in, the next we're not. Then a few hours later, we're back in the hunt. So we'll explain what happened. And then
One minute your hopes are dashed, the next minute your hopes are high, so to speak. And back and forth we go.
Yeah, it was a weird roller coaster of a day. And then, of course, we have the games this weekend to talk about. But let's start with the recaps. Friday night.
Hey.
Yeah, a 6-3 loss to Utica. Or 6-3 loss by Utica in Baltimore. Season sweep to your bitterest rival.
Yeah, it never feels good.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was
especially to your rival.
It was the first chance we got to see the new balls in action. Definitely a bit more bounce. Definitely played a bit faster.
Yes, they definitely. I mean, as a whole, over the weekend, I definitely noticed a difference in just how they play, how they were causing players to miss or misjudge where they thought ball was going to go, only for it to go somewhere else, or further than they thought, or shorter than they thought. Just and it wasn't just like Utica, like that was both teams that we played.
Yeah.
So I mean, it definitely had an effect on the game. Good job changing things last minute. Love it.
From what I'm told, that was actually due to complaints from the players and coaches and front offices around the league, which, if they're complaining, the equipment should be changed. I'm just confused on how it took so long. And if it was an off-season change and they switched the ball, I don't think you have to say anything about it. But because it's mid-season and 2 weeks before the playoffs, just a little acknowledgement for what happened would be. I don't think that's too much to ask for.
I could have understood either one of those. If you made it in the off season, just waited a few weeks until the at least the regular season was done. Make it a playoff change. Make it a way to shake up the playoffs and really screw people up, or make it an off season thing. I just don't see it being a, hey, there's like a week or two left in the season, let's really shake things up a bit.
No, if it was that big of an issue, you'd think it would have been taken care of sooner. Even if it meant going back to the old balls from the COVID season.
Or, hey, just wait a little bit longer.
Yeah. I don't know. Weird things. Brandon, do you have a stat that tells the story for Friday night?
I don't even want to look at the game Friday night.
All right, I'll give you the stat that tells the story.
Gimme.
So we lost 6-3.
Mm-hmm.
We were also outshot by about the same ratio, 33-16. You're in a small field. You got to get a lot of shots off. Utica did not accomplish that.
No, they did not. If I had to say anything, it definitely felt like we drifted back to old habits again. Playing with it a little bit more.
I guess now that the game's in hindsight, I'll say, like, when I was at practice, some of the things they were working on was quick ways to switch the field, and you could see Utica trying to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that was yelled about was covering in our third if we give up the ball, because Baltimore will be able to get it and they shoot quick. And that led to a few goals.
Yes, it did. No, so it seems like, there was proper planning in place.
Just failure to execute.
Yep. I guess I have technically a stat and more of a more of a joking stat.
Okay.
I think the first stat, which is the legitimate one, is Coughlin had a pretty freaking good game.
Yes.
70, basically was a 7.4 save percentage, which is higher than we've seen for most of the season for him. So I mean, 23 shots against, he saved 17 out of the 23, which is pretty good. I think, and I'm going to say this now, overall this weekend, I really felt like we had a return of Mr. Stretch, as we call him. I mean, yeah, his save percentage was less on Sunday. We'll talk about that, but he had some really good saves. Like, he was diving all over the place. He was throwing himself in front of it all over again. And we hadn't really seen that much this season. He was playing it more. It felt like he was playing it a little bit more safe this season. But definitely those two games, like him and Vanzella, were really going back to back with the goalkeeping. My other more funny stat was, one red card assessed to Domenico Vitali.
Yes.
He said some things.
I'm
not to be repeated on this podcast, but he said some things.
If I forget which ref they were directed at, but I will say if they were directed at one of them, they might be warranted from something that happened a week prior.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I try not to think about. I really, really don't like thinking about the refereeing, but when we have like 2 games out of 3 and no one on the field is certified as a senior official, you got to expect a little chaos. And I don't like
Everybody loves a little chaos.
Calm down there, Butters.
I was actually going for a joker, but that's fine. Wait, just don't look at me. Don't look at me.
I was gonna say, yeah,
I can't see it, but I'll stare back at you.
Well, that red card was so late in the game, we can't really call that the play that changed it. But for me, it was the volley shot that Dantas had that sealed his hat trick early in the fourth quarter, 9 seconds in. And capped off a 5-0 goal run for Baltimore. Like 4-1, we've seen teams go on 3-0 runs, trade back and forth. You can tie it. It's a lot harder at 4, especially when you've just given up 5 straight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even gonna. I can't even argue that one. Like, that one was what kind of sealed it for me. I mean, before that, it's like maybe, and then it was just no. It's done.
It was a tough game to watch.
They still tried. They still tried after the fact. They still got 2 more after that and brought it at least, halfway there.
Look, I figured if we were going to win, we need to hold Baltimore to 6. We did. Yep. Our offense just did not possess the ball very well. No. That's why we got outshot so much, and why our defense ended up with 10 blocks to Baltimore's 6. But
it's kind of why I feel like this weekend was kind of the tale of 2 cities all over again. Personally, just because, I mean, I think that's a good enough segue into Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday, the Eastern Division champions, who we will be rooting for later tonight. Oh, God, I hate saying that, but let's get Tropical.
As they play the Fury.
Ugh, I threw up in my mouth a little, I think. Florida comes back. This is the first time we've seen them since January. And starts off with a 0-0 first quarter. At that point, you're like, oh, we're in for a defensive slugfest, and we certainly ended with one.
It was definitely a very defensive slugfest for the first quarter, and boy, Utica, both defenses look good. Utica's, of course, I look at Utica's more than I look at Florida's, but Utica looked on point for their defense, and it wasn't. I mean, that carried through the whole game, but specifically in the first quarter with no score.
Big performance by Utica for a win that they desperately needed, even in overtime. Do you have a stat that tells the story for this one?
It's kind of the same one that we had 2 weeks ago or a week ago. Yet again, capitalizing on the power play. We got 2 out of 3 this time around, which is again an improvement. Last time we were 1 for 2, I believe. That we had, the power plays at home anyway. Without looking, that's what I remember. I think we had a 50%. This time we had a 67%. I mean, 3 power plays and we score on 2 of them. That is rare for Utica. And not only did we score on them, the 2 out of the 3, but we look good on them. Like, yeah, we played with the ball a little bit, but not in a bad way. We played with the ball to wear down the defense. I could see that. And we spent a decent amount of that time possessing. That's all I had.
All right. So we know the first quarter went scoreless.
Yep.
Florida scores a minute into the second. We answer within 3 minutes.
Yep.
So there's 3 minutes of Florida leading this game. We led or tied through this game for 53 of the 60 and a half minutes that the game was played. Like, that is huge. Especially when Florida's the favorite coming in, they have a lot more pressure when it's tied than Utica does, even though we had more pressure to win just because of the playoffs.
Right. It was, we gave him hell.
That's controlling the game.
Yep. Well, again, that was something that I noticed throughout. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that the blue card performance for Utica was huge as well, obviously.
All I was going to say is that we did something this game that I felt like we had been lacking, which was possessing the ball. We didn't just, we ripped shots, which was good. We had a good balance of ripping shots and possession. Like, it wasn't just, I feel like we've gone to either extreme. We'll get up there and we'll just take a shot, which is sometimes a good thing. I mean, looking back at a lot of the old tape, seeing some of those old games with like Salas and Mujin and Kenaway and Daru, like they would just get up to the end and shoot.
Which try to catch them off guard.
Yeah, which there's nothing wrong with doing that. Like, if you have the opportunity, you should go for it. A lot of the time I do feel like we give up some of those opportunities, which is still the case. I feel like we, back off and just try and regroup versus taking the one off, which again, I understand that strategy and there's nothing wrong with it. That being said, we definitely possessed the ball a lot more this game, like actually focused on possession. Along with that, of course, we took shots. You can see that from the stats. We took 28 shots, I believe it was. Yeah, 28 shots. So pretty good.
Granted, outshot Florida.
Out shooting. That's. I feel like that's not easy to do. They have a lot of offensive weapons.
Yes.
I think part of what got us through this was our defense was on point. Our offense was trying to take advantage of their weaker defense by taking all those shots, and basically just because they don't have their best. They don't have Silva. They haven't had Silva for a bit. So,
right.
We're trying to take advantage of that as best we can. I mean, granted, their keeper did fine, but we still were able to get.
I mean, a 750 save percentage is pretty good.
Oh yeah, no question. So I don't know. I just felt like they played exceptionally well. Utica played exceptionally well. Florida played well. We just ended up playing slightly better. I went on a tangent there, and I'm sorry.
No, it's good. Do you have a play that changed the game? Or would you like me to?
I did. And I'm trying to remember what it was. So go ahead.
For me, it was the left-footed laser that went bar down from Ben Raymond. Gave Utica a lead, something I don't think we've had against Florida this year. I'd have to go back and check the box scores from the Florida game, the games down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we've led against them yet. It definitely fired up the crowd, and it came a minute and 11 seconds after our first goal. So when you stack them like that, it pumps up the crowd, it pumps up the team, and two, it's a little ego deflating for the guys on the other side of it.
Actually, I need to look something up, because
Okay.
if it's the one that I think it was, that is the actual goal that I was thinking of, but for a different reason.
Okay.
Because the reason, if that is the one, no, I know exactly which one it was.
I'm
Okay.
thinking of the Schindler one.
Yep, but not because. Let me explain. So, nope, not even that. So, this was, and actually, I should have known which one it was, because it was right after the Drew Ruggles goal.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is something where showboating backfired big time.
Yeah.
So, Ruggles scores the tiebreaker goal for Florida and starts going over the bench. He is celebrating. What was that look for?
What?
Oh, you just gave me a look when I said tiebreaker.
I'm listening, but I'm also
Was it
thinking
that gross? I mean, I understand, but anyway, so he scores the tie-breaking goal, makes a 3-2 for them early in the fourth, which, of course, initially Utica fans are thinking, okay, here we go. And then he starts, for lack of a better term, he basically starts humping air towards our bench.
Mm-hmm.
And that fired up Coughlin, which made him kind of run out to him and kind of give him a few choice words.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing you know, within a minute, literally a minute, he gets a blue card for boarding and goes to the box for 2 minutes. Well, we capitalized on that power play, and there was some chanting in the arena of "Thank you, Ruggles," because he kind of gave us that one to an extent. And then scoring again, not even 30 seconds later, was Ronaldinho. So the play for me that changed it was definitely the Jake Schindler goal. Or really the whole series of events that led up to that goal, was really my play that changed the game. So technically, if I had to pick a play that changed the game, it was that Drew Ruggles goal, because that fired up both the team and the crowd. And I mean, basically it just about blew the roof off the joint.
So because it's Ruggles, and I'm going to bring this up. I don't believe he should have been able to finish this game. All right, we have in the first half. I want to say it was off the distribution from the not a handball outside of the box when you're standing a foot and a half outside of the box, where Rayner tossed it out. Moy went up for it, and Ruggles climbed over his back to get it. And you can see his forearm go into the head neck area on Moy, which is supposed to be an automatic blue card. In fact, we saw it called a blue card the last time Florida was in Utica, and Slav did the same thing to somebody on a similar distribution from Coughlin.
Yep.
So there's one blue card that probably should have been called that wasn't. And then in the second quarter, I believe it was in the second quarter, Ronaldinho takes a shot against House and kind of trips him up. And then Timmy has a few choice words with Ruggles in the corner, and Ruggles shoves him to the turf while both officials are busy with the goalkeeper who's just got tripped up.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, there was that little
there's another blue
little
card.
Scuffle there. Yep.
There's another blue card, if not a yellow for unsportsmanlike. And then he had the clear as day boarding against Joey with 5 minutes left in the game. Or with 14 minutes left in the game.
I was going to say with 14 minutes.
Like a minute after, not even half a minute after his goal.
Yeah, it was literally it was about 40 seconds after his tiebreaker goal.
I'm interested if we'll see those or on the under review with Phil and Ryan Sigich, any of them.
At the very minimum, I want to see that. I want to understand that catching the ball outside the box. Now, granted, he did try and make a show of holding the ball inside the box the whole time.
Right.
But I just want to know. I want to know an official ruling on that. Like, what exactly was that? Because I feel like anybody else did that, or if like Coughlin did that, it would have been called.
Right. Like this was in the second quarter, like basically right off the start of the second quarter.
It was literally it went back from Christian to
Schindler,
Jake,
I think,
and then Jake chipped it up, and it was right there, literally start of the second quarter.
And the play we're talking about, Rayner jumps to get the ball, lands outside of the box, turning his body to keep the ball kind of on the line or about around the box, but he is now outside of the box.
Both feet.
So I'll reread the part of the rule that gets to it. MASO laws of the game, Rule 12, section 12, subsection D.
Okay, before you get into this, you reading the rules and literally sighing there makes it sound like you're just exacerbated by reading these rules over and over and over. I feel like we've been here a lot this season.
Yeah. Well, because one, it's like the regular handball rule is written in a way that if you watched last week's under review, there was a handball confirmed in the box against one of the Milwaukee guys for making his body bigger on defense. And it's like, no, the rule says it has to lead to a goal or goal scoring opportunity. You can do that on defense. By the way the rule is written. But in this case, if it's deliberate outside the area, it's supposed to be interpreted as severe 2-minute power play. And that's if, in the opinion of the referee, it's intentional and it breaks up a promising attack or shot at goal outside of the penalty area. In the situation that we saw, where the goalkeeper first handles the ball within the penalty area, but his momentum carries him outside the penalty area while handling the ball, it's not supposed to be deemed severe in nature. So no power play.
Right.
But it should still be called a handball?
But it didn't lead to a goal scoring opportunity.
It could have. Ben wasn't that far away. But I guess, yeah, I mean, technically that might have been him actually calling it by the MASL handball rule. It's really confusing. Can we just borrow the handball rule from the IFAB and use that?
Yeah, I just want to. I want to get a official ruling. I want to understand, like, now that we're past it, now that it's in the it's back. Then, like, what exactly is the ruling on that? And that's what I hope we can get some information on here soon, because that was just. I mean, not only when it happened, but when they showed the replay. I mean, the audit itself just, let's just say there were not happy people in there.
Oh, yeah, you could hear it on the broadcast. Speaking of the broadcast, I don't know if you rewatched, but Joe Puccio does a great job filling in for Ray Biggs.
Absolutely. I did see that, or did hear that. I've been watching highlights here and there from the broadcast, and yeah, it's definitely may not be Biggsy, but does a good job all the same. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, your favorite winged creature was probably its best iteration I have ever seen.
Yeah, I heard he was better than ever.
Yes. Like, whoever did it that time needs to do it from now on. Because they, can't say he, because we don't know.
Right.
They absolutely killed it. And even our section, even 212, had a lot of fun with them. And kind of fed off of, like, they did stuff, and then, we kind of fed off of that and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, great game, great atmosphere, great win. And I guess that leads me to the whole playoff thing. So, I mean, you're in the group chat.
Either we're in or we're out. Freaking pick one.
If you check the MASL site on Sunday, it showed Utica is in. And this is end of day. After Tacoma was played, they'd been eliminated.
Yep.
And then Monday, I went to look at it to try to do some in my head, figuring out how we could sneak in, what it would take to happen.
Yep.
And it showed us as eliminated.
Yes.
Which confused me because it was a day late, and I had to do some stuff. And by the way that they had the tiebreakers listed, it was correct with Utica eliminated. Make a big stink about it on Twitter because the free points that teams got for not playing games.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I saw.
Which, I mean, look, full disclosure, that really isn't going to matter that much. Utica put themselves in this hole with the way they played the first half of the season.
Yeah, but you're not wrong. I mean, definitely played a very poor first half, but
nothing gets clicks like angry. And sometimes it's just about making engagements occur.
Angry and or dumb.
Don't take anything I do on social media 100% seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, Ben Burnell, who used to be with the OD, now he's with the Rome Sentinel covering sports, said he talked to the lead to figure it out, and they said, no, Utica is in. So...
Well, then we had another voice chime in, too.
Yeah, Tommy Tanner chimed in.
I was going to say Tommy chimed in and set the record straight here.
In the box group, he chimed in and explained, and...
Correct.
That's kind of what led me down how I got to it before he could come back with the second response, which verified what I thought. Mm-hmm. I was just like, wait, how how does the total wins fit into this? The website only listed it as points, and then your tiebreaker was regulation wins. Then it went head to head, then total goal differential, and then way down into other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever set up the standings webpage missed one of the tiebreakers, which is where all this confusion started.
Okay.
When the playoffs were announced, the format back on October 15th, a press release was put out that explained how playoff seeding would be determined. It goes points, regulation wins, total wins, including overtime wins, and then head to head. If you get rid of total wins, I'm sorry, I'm counting like this, and I'm like, 4. If you get rid of the third one, and I realized my hand was in the shocker, and I'm a child, and that was funny to me.
And they would have never known if you hadn't explained it.
Yeah, but I laughed, so I had to explain it.
Tee
So if you get rid of the total wins, Utica would be tied in points, potentially, depending on how everything plays out, with Ontario, Milwaukee, and St. Louis. We could tie with them still.
Right.
Be a 4-way tie for 7th. And then if it went regulation wins, the best we could do was tie with them again. So then it would go to head-to-head. And the only one we would get ahead of would be St. Louis.
Right. No,
Lost to Milwaukee. We lost twice to Ontario.
Correct. Yep.
But because it goes to total wins, and we don't have overtime losses, we can get 10 total wins, which would jump all of them if they're at 28 points.
Right, because they all have less than that.
Right. So part of that we'll find out tonight, if that can still be possible come the weekend when Florida and Ontario play. If Ontario wins regulation overtime or loses in overtime, as long as they get a single point, Utica can't tie them, and we lose a shot at the 7 seed and can only get the 8th.
Yeah, we can only basically take Milwaukee's spot.
Right. So we'll see how tonight goes, and things can happen differently over the weekend.
Yep.
But the only way Utica's getting to 28 points is if we win each of the next 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Home against Tacoma Saturday night, and then Sunday afternoon against Chihuahua.
Which is let's be honest, it's kind of a tall ask.
Yes. Not the easiest thing to do. We'll discuss that in a bit.
Yep.
Because if we take care of our own business, we still need Dallas to beat Milwaukee on Saturday night in regulation.
Yep.
Anything else, they get to 29 or more points, we can't catch them.
Right.
And Saturday and Sunday, we need Kansas City to beat St. Louis at least once, although twice would be ideal because then they're completely out of playoff running.
Right. Twice would be ideal, but once is enough for our needs.
Yes. So it's a lot that's got to happen. We're really hoping for 3 to 4 losses for other teams, and we have to win 2.
Y'all got to lose.
Everyone this weekend is a Dallas and a Florida Tropic and a San Diego Soccer.
Hey, I mean, Michelle just got her Dallas jersey, so I mean, can rep Dallas while we're cheering them on to win their game.
I think they play the same time as Utica on Saturday night, so I don't know if you're going to want to rep that at the odd.
Wear it underneath.
Okay.
And no, they come on, they play 5 minutes after us. Okay, their start time is 7:05. Ours is 7:00. So you could totally catch the last 5 minutes of the other game. You thought I was going to keep going with that, huh?
I did. I thought you were going to go on a lot longer. Yeah, that's where we're at with the playoffs. So first, we should talk about, obviously, Saturday night. Tacoma First time they'll have played Utica since making the trip from Syracuse down the relocation for the franchise.
Yep.
It's UCFC After Dark. Things get weird. They bring in Danny Waltman in goal, who is royalty in the MASL. Just his father was a goalkeeper, I believe, back in the day. We'll see if Nick Pereira is able to go. He looked like he injured a quad Saturday night. He might just be done for the season with Tacoma eliminated. Why risk injuring yourself further? You're not going to make the playoffs. And if we're being honest, run out the young guys. See what they got.
Why not? I mean, let it be basically a trial by fire against against a real team. I don't mean to say a real team, but what I'm trying to say is, we hear from the players, we hear from the coaches all the time that there's nothing can replicate in practice what you get out of a game.
Right. So
what do you have to lose? You literally have nothing to lose and nothing to gain, really, from playing your newer guys. Or I shouldn't say you have nothing. I shouldn't say you have nothing to gain, but you have everything to gain by playing these newer guys and getting them experience and being able to, test their mettle basically and just see what they can do.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that so that, maybe they play some lesser talent that, we can take advantage of. I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
Probably. You just have to take my word for it.
If Pereira can't go, I mean, there's no understating how much of a loss that is for the team. He's averaging 2.3 points per game. He's got 48 points on the season. Their next closest in points is Canale, yes.
If Nick Pereira does not show up, we have the leading goal scorer for both teams, which I don't think we've had all season.
And that's Joey Tavernisi.
Joey freaking Tavernisi.
We got the wallpaper treatment this week with the Fly Peter Pan fly.
Yes, he did. I actually had a good conversation with Joey after the game on Sunday. Me and Michelle stopped with him at 72 because he's been having a streak.
Yeah. And
he obviously for the first half of the season, a lot of people, myself included, were very critical of.
I think all three of us were, to be fair.
I think everybody was, to be honest. And I flat out told him, I said, he proved me wrong. I want to be proven wrong by you. Mm-hmm. So I'm more than happy to eat my words and keep being proven wrong by your performance. So show them all what you got is basically what I told him. Mm-hmm. And it was a very good conversation between the three of us. And, Joey, he's out to prove something to everyone. And right. With that, I love that attitude for him. And I want to see more this weekend. I basically said, I said this on Facebook or Twitter, one of the two, responding to something he put, essentially said, you've got a 7-game streak where you have scored at least one goal. Mm-hmm. Let's make it 9.
Yeah. So I'll be honest. I guess we'll drop a tease here because Joey is another player that I would love to get onto the podcast if we could, to talk about just what changed between the first half and the second half. Notice I said another. Yes, we had Mugen in the past. There is someone else we are talking to about coming on in the future. We won't reveal it until the time is ready, but you won't want to miss that one.
I guess, this will not give anything away.
Right.
All I will say is it is a current player.
Yes.
Technically, the last time we had a player on, it was after he left the team because Mugen was already on his way out.
Yes.
So, or he was out, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think he was already in Dallas at that point because it was a late.
So this time we have a current player coming on. Very excited for that one.
Yes. I mean, if you just look at the numbers, Utica and Tacoma seem very similar. The only difference is Utica has 2 overtime wins that Tacoma had as overtime losses.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a negative 42 goal differential. They're negative 47. We're 4-6 at home. They're 4-8 at home. We could be 6-6 at home after the weekend, though.
That would be nice.
We're 4-8 on the road. They're 2-6-2 on the road.
And I mean, I've heard this from literally every person that I've talked to that comes to the Odd. It is a different environment in there, especially the after dark games are crazier than normal, but the Odd is just, we bring it. We give you heck all game. We love you after the game, even if you beat us. No, usually, as long as you don't give us a reason to hate you. But during the game, we're going in, and it is a different environment in there. And unless you're prepared for it, you got some surprises coming.
Yeah, I mean, when we went to Harrisburg, we were the loudest fans there. And I don't just mean us three. There were about 15 Utica fans that made that trip that day.
Yep.
When we went to Baltimore, I started a Utica chant because it was too quiet and I didn't like it. And it took a second, and then the Baltimore fans changed it to Let's Go Blast. But for a second, they were on the Utica. Wait a minute.
We're infectious. We're infectious. What can we say?
We had some Utica fans when I was out in Ontario, and it was quiet.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm on the road, if it's quiet, I will start a Utica chant because it gets the home fans annoyed and it gets them into it, which kind of backfires sometimes maybe, but I really hate sitting in a quiet arena.
There's nothing wrong with enticing a home crowd, or enticing a home crowd into cheering for their guys. Mm-hmm. Again, yes, it can backfire, but I mean, it's part of the game. Give the guys some fuel, basically. You're basically giving both sides fuel by cheering. And I mean, if you go out there and you're completely silent, I mean, what is that really? Did you really go out there? Did you really go to a game?
Well, if I'm silent, something's wrong.
Yeah. just very, very, very angry. But no, you voice your anger when somebody does stupid things out there.
It carries really well at the Carrier Dome. I will say that. You get a quiet crowd and you're second level, you can definitely be heard on the court. Saturday night. On paper, two very similar teams. Nick Pereira is kind of the wild card in this one. Moises Gonzalez he's back from the ACL, but I don't want to say it's healed. Generally with sports, any ACL injury, you expect 6 to 8 months of recovery before they get back on the field.
I'm going to tell you right now, he doesn't care.
I know he doesn't. He's 100% out there giving it his all to try to make the playoffs and win something.
The man went for not one, but two bicycle kicks in that game, in the Florida game. And I talked to him afterwards, and I literally said, "You were a madman." He's like, "Why?" Because he didn't he didn't know. Hey, I'm out there playing on basically a recovering ACL. He does not care. He wants to be on the field.
Yeah. Look, kudos to him to play through it. But
that's for sure.
My Lord.
Madman. And I love it, but madman all the same.
Oh, yeah. Great game, great teammate, I guess. You got to say.
I guess
So-
one other thing I want to say, I just need to say this about the Florida game.
Yeah.
It was very bittersweet seeing Diegues again. Got to see basically, hugs all around, got to see the three, kind of the three, I'll call them the newer guys that we had a couple seasons ago. And we had, Diegues.
You don't want to call them by their old nickname you gave them? The Southern Connection?
Oh yeah. It's been a while. I haven't been able to use that. But I mean, just seeing the three of them, have just a kind of like a group hug, and I'm like, oh, like that just sucks.
Yeah.
Like only being able to see him come back because he's on another team. I mean, it sucked. It was very bittersweet. But did get to say hello after the game, and it was very nice. I mean, I didn't get an extended conversation, but it was still very nice to see him again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, does Utica win Saturday night and give us hope on Sunday?
Yeah. If they play the way that they've been playing, which is passionate, they have a fire. They're in it. I mean, if they really try that, I think they could beat anyone. If that particular team shows up.
Mm-hmm.
I sincerely believe that they can literally beat anyone. Now, we do have to remember, we will not have Isak for the rest of the season. So he is gone. He is going to play in Germany.
Best of luck to him.
Yes, best of luck. We did, wish him luck this Sunday. And it is a bit of a loss. I mean, he wasn't like our top scorer or anything like that, but he made opportunities happen, and he was quick.
Mm-hmm.
He got back and stopped some things from happening. Like his presence on the team will be missed. So we do have to take that into account to an extent. Ultimately, does it matter that much, though? I don't think so. I do sincerely think that we can come away from, at the very minimum, Saturday with a win to give us hope. Absolutely.
Got a final score prediction?
The tough one. Given that we haven't played these guys, and I mean, it could end up being like a Harrisburg game to an extent, or it could end up being a super close game like everything else that we've had. The last few times I have called it as a like 2 or 3 goal game. You quit your yawning right now.
I
heard that come through the microphone, and I'm calling you out for it. You cut that stuff out right now. I went to bed at like 7 o'clock the past couple nights, and I'm actually up and awake for a change. So you cut that out. Because the last couple times that I've called it a 3-goal game for Utica, it's been like a 1-goal game. I'm going to do the opposite. Okay. I am going to say it's going to be a, you know what? I'm going to say 7-6.
7-6. Okay.
Sorry, 6-5. And the reason I'm going with that number is based on their save percentages. And Coughlin just has a 65, and Waltman has a 62. So we're going 6-5. Utica.
Okay.
Don't be wrong. Make it higher, Utica. Make it like 10-6.
So, assuming they shut down Pereira for the weekend for the season, that takes, just on his goals alone, almost, if you take his goals and assisted goals, it takes away 48 of their points, which drops them so far below Utica.
Yep.
And defensively, we've allowed 30 less goals. It if Pereira's there, yeah, I can absolutely see a slug out. But if not, I like 6-3 Utica.
Okay.
Our defense is, 30 less goals in the same amount of games is a pretty hefty. Like, our offense has been really, really bad this year. We're second worst in the league behind Harrisburg.
Well, we've also been missing a lot of our offensive players for half the season.
Right. I'm just saying it's bad.
No.
On paper, it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, though, we're still middle of the pack.
And we'll have Vitali back.
Yes, he did serve his 1-game suspension on Sunday.
Yep. So, and that's another thing. Like, we were missing him against Florida, and we still had a very defensive game.
Yes, I'm going to go 6-3 Utica.
I actually figured out why I said 7-6 initially. I was going based on their goals against. Tacoma's allowed 7, and Utica's allowed 6. So I just brought it down a tick each.
Okay. Got some good quality H2O.
I was going to say, you drink that drink.
Sunday's game. This one's going to be really tricky. And just because Chihuahua is on a 7-game win streak and looking really, really good.
Can Rios not show up? Please.
I was going to say, that's the thing. How our visa is going to affect it.
Oh.
Like, Rios scares me, but they also score so many goals at their home arena because it's, at least on camera, it looks like Baltimore. And they're a very quick strike offense.
Uh-huh.
Like, at home, they're 9-1-2. And on the road, they only got to 500 this week because they played Tacoma twice. They're a very different team on the road than they are at home.
Yep.
And so let's look at this. We'll go back just through the month of March because they had 4 home games and 4 road games.
That's a good sample set.
Road games, 7. They scored 24 goals, so 6 goals a game. Home games, they scored 27, so about 7 goals a game. And again, I think they padded their stats a little bit playing Tacoma. Kind of like we did a couple games against Harrisburg.
Yeah.
Their wins have come against Ontario, who is just in a tailspin right now.
Yes, they are.
Dallas, twice in Chihuahua. Visa issues. It's always interesting to see who can travel across the border.
Right.
Ontario, twice in Chihuahua. And then Tacoma, twice on the road. They played San Diego to start the month, and this is their last loss.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a 6-2 loss.
In San Diego.
Yep.
Yeah, so again, I'm going to say it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Utica can make a hell of a difference. That the arena can make a heck of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
In general, given that these guys are going to be traveling as far as they do.
Right.
And playing the night before.
The same time we play
against Harrisburg. I think that game will give us a little bit of insight, potentially, as to what happens on Sunday. However, we've beaten Harrisburg pretty handily before. We've literally they were the first time I think we got a two double digits scoring against a team. I think it's the only time we got a double digit score against a team this season.
Yeah.
And it was the game where Timmy got his hat trick. That's the easiest way I remember it. Yeah, it was our 10-5 win. Or no, I'm sorry. Yes, our 10-5 win against Harrisburg. On the 11th.
Right.
So, I mean, depending on how they play against them after traveling that far, I mean, distance doesn't necessarily matter, but again, visa, that'll give us an idea of roster. And I'm sure that, Coach Hall and the rest of the team are going to be watching that game after the fact to just see who traveled, because that's going to give us an idea of who shows up in Utica.
Right.
And with that, just seeing how they perform. I mean, I was very wrong the last time we had a big team travel with the Sockers, and we nearly beat them. Granted, they had some other issues happen, and basically didn't get in until extremely late and stuff like that. But I don't know. Depending on some external factors, we could see. I mean, we could still come away with it, even without external factors.
Right.
This team can perform. Utica can perform against anybody. We've seen them do it against the two top teams. We've seen them do it against San Diego. We've seen them do it against Florida.
I want to say this is going to be very similar to that San Diego situation. The San Diego played at 6:00 in Baltimore. Chihuahua's playing at 7:00 in Harrisburg. It's an hour later, but they're an hour closer, so you could very much see arrival times being similar. I believe they're 2 hours behind us, so they'll be playing at the equivalent of noon, which not that much of a difference. Yeah. But
they're playing it.
We play at 2, right?
No, we play at 3.
We play at 3.
We play at 3 on Sunday.
Oh, I'm so used to the 2:00 games.
Yeah, no, we play them at 3:00 on Sunday.
Yes.
So it'd be their equivalent of 1:00.
1:00. Okay.
So not a huge difference, really.
No. I mean, okay, so there's an extra hour for them to get some sleep that San Diego didn't get.
Yep.
Obviously, we're playing the night before instead of 2 nights before. But our guys get to go home and sleep in their beds, or, can just get a hotel right there in Utica.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would be willing to bet that a lot of them probably just get a hotel room. I mean, that way they can be back to the arena and, potentially get some practice in or something in the morning. Probably get together as a team and have breakfast, whatever.
All right. How do you see this one going?
Oh, I am going to let you pick first.
Okay. So, one thing we didn't talk about yet is where Chihuahua stands in the playoff situation. They currently have the 4 seed. They have 42 points, which is actually more than Kansas City in the 3, but because they aren't winning their division, they don't get a top 3 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore can't catch them. No one below them can catch them. So they are solidified as the 4 seed. Is this the weekend we see players get rest? Especially playing 2 games in under 24 hours. And, this game to Chihuahua means absolutely nothing. They should be... Really, both of these games don't mean anything to them.
True. I mean, Harrisburg's already knocked out, and we're basically on the brink. And even if we do win against them, we could still end up being knocked out.
Right. Like, if I'm Chihuahua's coach, I'm focused on Baltimore and staying healthy.
Yeah, because that's right. They play them first round, don't they?
Yes. I'm not going to say I'm overlooking these games, but the biggest goal should be to keep your players healthy, to not have someone come out with the critical injuries we've seen happen this season at a terrible rate.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can get more people across the border, I'm going to bring a big group. Like, I might bring 20 people so that you can have 5 play and 5 rest each day.
Yep.
And it's a must-win for Utica. And that arena can carry our boys. Our boys can feed off of it, and they can feed the arena. And it's this big symbiotic relationship that just has worked really well in the past.
Yes, it has.
With the season on the line, I think Hall can get this team ready. I don't know if you saw the Instagram posts after the win on Sunday over Florida, but a bunch of the boys left 72, and they went out drinking in Syracuse together.
Oh, yes.
And then they were like running through the streets, doing dives into the snow and sliding down the road face first like penguins. And it was just this fun and camaraderie and this kind of chemistry that we haven't seen so much this season. Like, there'd be posts and they'd be like, "Yeah, we're playing some VR game," but not just going out and having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And with turning the season around as much as they have, like, there's a pressure lifted. You can feel it. I think Utica wins. I think it's a close one. I'm going to go 5-4. It's got to be low scoring if Utica is going to win this.
Yep. So I kind of regret calling it for Tacoma the way I did, because I'm going to sound like a broken record. But hear me out. So, yeah, I definitely wish I had changed my Tacoma. But anyway, I say 6-5 again, Utica, because it's a must win. But it's the way that it should have been. I mean, technically, no. Yeah, I'm still going to say 6-5, but I mean, technically, it should have been 7-6 for a certain other game, in my opinion. You know, the San Diego one. That's why we've been comparing this to the San Diego game over and over and over. And so I am saying 7-6. That is if we basically have to go against the brick wall, and we're pretty much throwing everything we possibly have at it in order to get through it. That is basically what I think is going to be the score. The score, if, like I said, if you know, all the cards on the table, you know, Chihuahua brings it, even though they have no reason to bring it, they bring it anyway. That's what I think. 6-5 again.
Okay.
I mean, if I had to change my other one, I would probably say, you know, like 7-4 for Tacoma, but it's too little, too late.
Yeah, big games this weekend. I think I'm gonna wrap it here. Gonna put on some USA Costa Rica US MNT World Cup qualifiers. And then when it starts, I'm gonna turn on that Florida Ontario game and Jackie Moon this thing.
Go Florida.
ELE, everybody love everybody.
Where are they playing again? I didn't see. Are they playing at home or away?
They're in Ontario.
Ah, okay.
So we got Philly and Reimer on the broadcast, Panda on the sideline.
Always a good broadcast team.
Yes.
Awesome. Hopefully I can stay up for that. Gonna do my best.
You just gotta make it to like midnight.
Yeah. After I just got off being sick and have been going to bed at like now or before.
It's not hard. It's not hard. You just pretend you're not sick anymore.
Ugh.
Power through.
Yeah, okay. Do my best.
Strength through unity, unity through hoping for Utica to make the playoffs.
Unity through coffee. Got it.
Okay, unity through Coughlin?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Stretch. He's waving the Coughlin bobblehead in my face on camera, just so that people who are just hearing the clickety clackety don't fully understand what exactly you're doing. All I see is a little Coughlin head.
I was just going to cut it out and then just end it with the wrap up.
Oh no! I think
but you went into detail, so
I think that should stay. I mean, the little Coughlin just kind of saying, "Hey, how's it going? I'm here."
First of all, I love the bobbleheads. Secondly, I'm not allowed to buy the other two. Third,
I've got them all.
You realize they make a field, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You could see that based on how they're set up. Listen, I just wanted the coach one, okay?
I was just like, oh, I'm excited they're promoting him with this.
Yep.
Better quality than I expected.
No, very nice quality. Very, very hefty, if you will. Very solid. I mean, I wouldn't smash them against the wall, but
they're better than the freebie ones I got at Yankee Stadium.
I mean,
those were also free.
They better be. You get what you pay for.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to add this week, Brandon?
Let's go to the playoffs. That's what I had. Let's. We haven't gone to the playoffs in a while. Let's go to the playoffs.
Well, yeah, that's because they were canceled, and then
I don't care.
We didn't play, and then
I don't care. Let's go to the playoffs. Okay. Excuses. I want to go to the playoffs. Let's go to the playoffs. Let's
All right. Would you rather get the 7 or the 8 seed then?
We've been down and out this whole season. Let's show everybody in the MASL that the longer you kick, the longer the kick you. That's all, folks.
You good there, Porky Pig?
No.
Okay.
The longer that the Jackals kick the Lions while they're down, the more fierce the comeback is going to be. And yes, I stole somewhat of that from their promotional video from a couple years ago, but I just happened to found
hated.
Hey, you know what? It fits this season. You think about it. You think about that. It fits this season. The first half of the season, we got kicked while we were down for so long, and now we've come back. Yes, we still had our bumps in the road, but this team has come back with a vengeance, and I am on board for it. And if we make it to the playoffs, I will figure out a way to make it to a game.
Well,
you can best bet that.
The one that I was thinking of came from a Robin Hood movie, which was Rise Again until lambs become lions. So that's where I thought you were going.
No, I mean, it wasn't even a direct quote from the video. It was just
right.
I've been watching that, and I've been listening to one of the hype songs that we've had all season, or at least the first part of the season. I think it was. I didn't like it at first, and now I do.
Well, all right. You want the 7th or the 8th seed? Which basically means, would you rather play Florida or San Diego?
Why does it matter? We can beat them both.
Good answer. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. As always, I'm Matt.
I'm Brandon.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to us so you never miss an episode. If that podcast app also has reviews, be sure to leave us 5 stars to let us know how we're doing and reach a larger audience. It really helps us out. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Keeper Corners Pod. And you can always find us there talking UCFC soccer. Thanks again for the support. It's truly appreciated. One last thing. Go Utica!